So I was asked to make a statement about fundamental research. So the statement is the following. The GMO debate in the EU can affect important fundamental research. So I think the statement is quite clear and simple, so I will not talk a lot about it. So fundamental research needs public financial support, and genetically modified plant and genetic engineering is really an essential tool in plant biology. So to understand how genes function, but also how plant disease evolved, or drought stress can be implemented. And in Austria or in Hungary, for example, projects involving GMO are no more funded because applications are completely forbidden. I would like also to say that in Europe, at least, people in the 18th century thought that nature brought the biggest risk in their lives, and now people think that science will bring the biggest risk in their life. So this is a big change, and I can really see a distrust against science, and especially against genetically modified plants, so even for fundamental research. So this has, of course, an impact. This opposition has an impact on financial support.
Okay, thank you very much. Reactions?
Isn't it more of a distrust towards big corporations? I mean, the movie showed the example of the tobacco industry or the oil industry doing basically propaganda against evidence of climate change. So so yeah, the question is the doubts of the people, are there towards fundamental research or more towards big corporations?
I just wanted to give a data to confirm actually the statement, because in Italy in the 90s there were 300 field trials at the end of the 90s, and now there are 0. And this is an influence of the debate. We had the field trials going on since the mid of the 90s for 10, 12 years, paid with public money, and they couldn't finish their research. So all this public money has been thrown away, actually. So there is an impact.
In my view, I'm not sure if there is an important affection of fundamental research, but what I'm sure is that the use of the knowledge obtained on fundamental research is not being applied in most cases in Europe because of this debate, which is a little bit different.
Okay, thank you. And remember, we're very keen to see new hands coming up, because I saw a familiar hand coming up.
The Flemish Institute for Biotechnology is receiving large amounts of money for their large amounts of money from the government for their research. What I'm asking myself is, what is fundamental research? If we see now that there is a big link between what the industry asks and what the research of the people at the VEB is going on, then it's normal that we have questions about that, about the link between industry, the amount of industry, and what we are doing with our research. But there is, at least there is no lack on money.
Thank you.
For the genetic research.
Okay.
I just want to confirm what the woman here is saying, that at the Flemish level, national level, but at the European level, the same. The biotechnologies were very well paid in comparison to organic farming, for example, or agroecology. There is no comparison of number. It's a huge difference. And well, the main problem is that fundamental research is not paid anymore. And so, like she said, there is a too narrow link between fundamental research and industry now. And that's why people finally don't trust science anymore also. But
I don't think biotechnology research is getting enough money. It's probably not. And that's why maybe it's turning to industry. But the thing is, to communicate this better, shouldn't we pit scientists against people like Jeffrey Smith, who have, I mean, is that really worth it? Is there really a point to pitting scientists against Jeffrey Smith, and then rather than arguing between ourselves a little bit more about all these conflicting stories that are naturally coming out? It's a part of science that we have conflicting results every day from all these thousands of labs in the world. That's a part of it, and that's the nature of it. Do we have to be absolutely right to move on? Can we just not be a bit more wrong? Can, you know?
Okay, I can hear Scott hopping next to me.
And desperately in need of a sandwich, so I'll see if I can make any sense. Jeffrey Smith, frustrating. Should we communicate with him? Okay, we can talk about that. But if he is influencing people, if he's making people make bad decisions, we should absolutely talk to him. And in terms of, I get so confused by this. I'm just so confused by what we trust and what we don't trust. I lost my thread. So Jeffrey, the reason Jeffrey Smith's in the film is because he is influencing the conversation, and he shouldn't be influencing the conversation. Sorry, no, it was consensus. So you did a different version of consensus right now. You said we scientists should be talking about these things on and on instead of talking to Jeffrey Smith. Fair enough, but we should have clarity between the difference between being skeptical of certain studies, but then when you're presented with thousands of studies that should convince you to not be skeptical, I don't think we get to call you, you're not a skeptic anymore, you're a denialist, right? The same thing would be true of climate change. Do you agree climate change exists? So somebody that doesn't believe in climate change would say to you, there's not enough of a consensus. And that would frustrate you. So I get confused.